I think having, a badass team and like these generals that can lead you. And I think partnering, finding great partners, like a Collins or a Raytheon or any like Blue Halo, or people that you can integrate their systems, AeroVironment. You start, your win becomes their win, became sort of another like, hey, I'm not a threat. My win can be your win. I'd like to integrate your system on here. So that was another kind of safety net of making sure people didn't see us as a threat, because some really did early, when they found out we had defense contracts.
Hey everyone, and thanks for listening. Today I'm speaking with Stewart Hamel, President and CEO of SkyRunner, an air utility transport vehicle tailored for the defense sector mission. Stewart, thanks for chatting with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, David.
Well, this is going to be fun. You've got a cool background, a cool company, but yeah, talk to me. How did you get into, running SkyRunner?
SkyRunner wasn't a business. It wasn't supposed to be a business. It wasn't supposed to be a solution. I just had my first IPO in a tech space. And I wanted something cool for the ranch. I was looking for I looked up cool vehicle, because the ranch was something rugged I wanted to get around. And I'd just become a pilot back then. So I love everything adventure, scuba diving, skydiving, flying. And I was just starting to have kids. So when I was looking for a Humvees or a cool vehicle for the ranch, I came across this powered parachute. I've never heard of a powered parachute before. And I was like, man, if I had something James Bond cool and I could fly my kids around, it was the safest aircraft so far invented in 40 years because it's a parachute. I thought that'd be really cool to take the kids around the ranch on. So I could go to more places. I could safely cruise them around. That was the impetus. So it was this kind of eccentric, kind of side project to build something for my kids and take them on adventures.
So did you then just buy that product and then the company, or did you design your own after that?
Yeah, I hired some people out of England to help me design it. And then we brought everything into the States once we saw a pathway of building a company. So people I do business with saw what I was doing on the sidelines and like, man, that thing is really cool. I think you could sell them. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I could. I mean, I'm not that eccentric to build a flying car and think that's going to work. It's never worked in 100 years. So, and one of my friends had a yacht down at the Fort Lauderdale boat show, and a small boat there is like 10 million, right? And a big one's $1 billion. And so I'm like, okay. I mean, if we're going to test it, how would the market really react to this? People who like toys, we took it down there and we lost our voice in 2 days. We had 4 people, we had crowds coming around it. So and people were giving us money, they were willing to give us deposits, and we didn't have an FA certification. So I'm like, okay, this merits further investigation. And that's when we decided to go the path and could we get this FA certified? Is that a real thing, or should we keep it experimental? And a few years later, we got it FA certified, which was a huge deal. And then once we did that, we started selling to rich guys, people that like their toys. And then the military, I did an interview with CNN Money, and it was their second most viral video. DevGuru called me, and I thought it was a joke. SEAL Team 6 called me saying this could solve our problems. I'm like, no, this guy's pulling my leg. So they came down, and that guy now is he's like a lifelong friend. He's just, what a great guy. And so some of the SEALs came down. We redesigned the whole thing. Their feedback loops, here's everything that's going to break. Here's this, here's secondary, tertiary redundancy. So we designed it like the space shuttle. So here's all these things that could go wrong. You could flip it, roll it, still drive it, still fly it, put a 50 cal round in one of the engine blocks, because we have 2, and it's not immobilized. You could take a hammer to all the axles and go faster with the propeller than you could the ground system. You could lose coolant, you could patch it, repair it, borrow from the other reservoir. The wiring harness we designed to be cannon plugged, so you could replace it in the field and not have to do be an electrician. So the whole design philosophy was pretty wild. And who doesn't, who wants to be immobilized? Whether you're a civilian, especially if you're military, you don't want to be somewhere immobilized. So we built 9 things in that these things can go wrong that would immobilize any vehicle, and you got a plan B and plan C. So that's how it really got started. And then CAG and Delta got involved. They wanted to give some feedback loops. Then someone wrote a postgraduate thesis, the Naval Postgraduate Thesis, postgraduate school. This guy wrote a thesis on how SkyRunner could change warfare in areas that were highly contested, areas that you wouldn't want to fly a helicopter into. How could you do this or diversify a team? And then RAND Corporation wrote a paper discussing unmanned and attritable aircraft and all the, cool guy tech you could put on, things that could be cross domain. That's really how it kind of evolved, was the feedback loops. And I think what we did well was listen to US DoD and just give them what they want, which made it a better platform, better vehicle, aircraft for, a civilian person.
Yeah. So those who haven't looked online to see what it is, like describe to me what it looks like. You mentioned some, or if you got a picture, you can show that.
I can walk you in and show it to you. You want me to take you in and walk you around it?
Let's do that.
All right, come with me. So it's bigger than most side-by-sides, but it's about 6.5 foot tall. It's 6.5 foot wide. So it's going to be a wider wheelbase than you find with a side-by-side coming out of a factory. You see the litter on the ground doing medevac. It's 2-seater. It's an FAA certified 2-seater. But if it's government owned, we can do cool stuff with it. We can change things up, or if it's experimental, we can put a bench seat in the back. What you're seeing on it now, that's a Switchblade short range missile on there now. So you can do a lot of like counter UAS. We've proven active counter UAS systems, jamming, spoofing, medevac, weapon systems is fairly new. We're just now doing that. But yeah, I mean, you could take the seats out and just do logistics. So we just got a U.S. contract to make it unmanned for flight. And we're about to do unmanned ground. So you're gonna have an unmanned autonomous system for the last mile. So if you wanted to go island to island, it lands and it drives, whatever cargo you need.
That is cool. So then you've got a big prop in the back. Does it drive like a set? Like how fast does it go? Like a normal car or normal like?
Yeah. So it'll do 70 on the ground. It's very intuitive. So you get the gas pedal, get the brake. It's automatic, so it makes it real easy. And then you have the propeller on the back. So you have 2 engines. And we use the Rotax. It's a modified Rotax engine. We get 195 horsepower out of it. It climbs like a homesick angel.
So when if you wanted to just use the propeller, how fast can you drive it on the ground?
It'll go faster with the propeller on the ground than the ground engine. Yeah, you could put 3 people in it and do 85 or more on the ground. Yeah, so if someone put a 50 cal round in the ground engine block, the Polaris engine block, and took a hammer to all your axles, 3 people could do 85 or more on the ground just with the prop.
That's crazy. And so you're driving. I actually wanted to talk about your background, like to get there. Like, what was your the tech company? That's too cool. So you're hauling ass. Then do you have like hit a button and a parachute then comes out, or do you have to stand up there and hold it? And
so as a pilot, it takes me. So if I go out in pre-flight like a Cessna 182, it takes me about 15 minutes. I might take a little longer if I'm taking someone with me, say 20. SkyRunner, you can pre-flight, do a walk-around checklist in 7 minutes and be wheels up. So it does, it's kind of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of prescription sort of thing. I think taking the 2.5 minutes just to set up the wing, to lay it out behind the aircraft, and I'll send you a video of how we do this. It's 2.5 minutes, but it prevents any tangles or false launches. We've seen people try to do it on the go. You can do it. It's just not perfected in a way where you have a high probability every single time. It'd be cool for a James Bond movie to like drive, hit a button, thing launches. We've not figured that out yet. We've watched other people try. But yeah, in 7 minutes, in a 10-mile radius, if you had a Black Hawk, just a standard Black Hawk, it takes them about 25 minutes, 30 minutes to be wheels up. It takes us 7. So in a 10-mile, if I had to deliver tourniquets and fluids 10 miles out, I'll beat a Black Hawk. So you change the octagon, you kind of change the outcome. So if it's short range, it's something you want to have in your arsenal.
So you lay it out, then you just start driving.
You drive forward, it kites up in about 10 feet, it's over your head, 20 feet, it's over your head. At about 25 miles an hour, there's no oscillation to the chute. Turn on the propeller, push the throttle quadrant up, and then you're off the ground in a second.
And then how do you control pitch?
Yeah, so it's only pitch and roll. We don't have a yaw, which is we shortened the riser on one side of the CG bracket over here, so it compensates. So we shortened about 2 inches, so it thinks we're putting in input to compensate for the P torque of the propeller. So it takes off in a straight line. And then we have foot pedals, so you're hands free. Once you're airborne, if you put the pedals then retract out only when you're in flight mode. Otherwise, they stay hinged. They're springed in, so they're not bouncing around inside the aircraft. But when they spring out, you push left, just like you're skydiving. You put input on one side, it creates drag, and you turn. So same, if you push in on the left pedal, it turns left. If you push it right, turns right. If you push it really hard, you'll do a 2+G turn.
And then you're with throttle, you're just controlling your vertical velocity. If you
Yeah, the throttle quadrant is giving you its climb or descent or cruise. So that's the wild thing, is you really only have one speed other than a headwind, a tailwind. I mean, when we're doing stuff on the border with BORTAC or doing demonstrations, we'll take tailwinds. We'll go up to 2,300 feet. We'll take a 30-knot tailwind and do 80 miles an hour, ground speed, or we can hover. We can turn into it, hover, and then we can drop at low altitude to get out of those winds and just cut through it.
Yeah. So then you have a throttle setting, or it's just manual, or you set it to like, this is cruise, where you're not going to create enough lift.
Yeah, I'll show you. So this would be, let's see here. That would be climb. That would be cruise. And then that would be landing. And that's it. And then these pedals down here, those will retract. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Okay.
Those come in. Those are how you turn left and right.
That is so cool.
Well, it's so simple. I mean, we designed it in a way. I mean, if you had a 60 IQ and drunk, you're not going to kill yourself. The wing is square canopy. It's it's the simplest aircraft I've ever flown. But to make it unmanned changes everything for us. I mean, the utility, the cross domain operations and the multi-mission sets you can do. I mean, you got ground, air, cyber, and you could even be a space node if you wanted to.
Yeah. So talking about becoming unmanned, that's not an easy journey in of itself. Are you partnering with someone? Like, what's your strategy?
Oh, absolutely.
To accomplish this?
Yeah, we won. It was a phase 3. It went to an OTA. So it's an Air Force contract, and we interviewed 12 great companies that are doing unmanned. The trick with unmanned was what we saw in Ukraine. If it had to work in jammed and GPS denied areas. If it didn't, it was going to be kind of a boat anchor. I mean, it'd be neat as long as everything's, right, you're in a green zone or it's safe. But if they're overwhelming the signal, how can it operate? Or you're going to lose the drone. That became very, very important. And this group had done one. They had done something for an unmanned. It was like a powered parachute, but it was little. It could carry 50 kilos, 25, 50 kilos. And that sold to a group in Europe. So they had experience doing it with some sort of powered parachute, like a much smaller one. Yeah, it's been great. We're halfway through. We'll be demoing it this summer.
And so then unmanned, so the seats are out. So it's just open cargo. You can do whatever you want. Plug and play.
Yeah, it's a lot of roll-on, roll-off systems. So if you wanted to put counter UAS systems in it and do an active, mitigate drones 1.5 kilometers out from the flight, you can do that. Just shut them down, overwhelm them. We do detect systems, the jamming, spoofing, e-warfare. If you want to just send them in, if there was a group pinned down, if you want to send 10 into a field and let them drive out, if they didn't have the flight experience, you could still drive out. So it's a very cheap alternative. You got an aircraft that's got 900 pounds of useful load, right? It's really inexpensive. So if you lost it, it's not a big deal. You've got ground capability. You've got air capability. Yeah. So it's, relative to other drones, I don't know what a Predator system costs, $40 million. We're about 1% of the cost with twice the payload. So, whatever cool guy tech you want to put on it, it'll handle it. Just put on the battery and bring your own battery and your own system. And so we've done a lot of the integration to prove it, to test it. Here's where it's going to sit. Here's where the wiring harness goes. So you're not going to trip over it coming out, and setting it, far away from our own wiring harness, so that when you power up, the electromagnetic, it doesn't give it static to harm the system.
Talking about piloting, is there like a certification? Like you need to be a pilot to fly it?
Yeah, good question. So the light sport aircraft came around. It's a new classification, 2004. So that's what allowed us to do this, but it's a 2-seat. It has to be under a certain weight. Although we have one of the highest max takeoff weight of any light sport aircraft, our weight actually makes us more stable in the air because you're a pendulum. But under this classification, the powered parachute requires 12 hours of flight. So in about 2 to 3 weeks, weather permitting, a non-pilot can fly 98% of the U.S. airspace with SkyRunner. And when I became a pilot, it took me, I think, 8 or 9 months to get my fixed wing single engine. So to do it in 2 weeks and to be proficient is pretty cool. And for the operator,
I was going to say, what's the operator? What are they doing?
Yeah, well, the operator, they're, 95% of the missions are going to be unmanned. But the operators are the same. We'll put them through there's the light sport basic, but then you can do a private pilot, so you can fly at night. It gives, there's more training to go with that. You can fly over 10,000 feet. I've taken this over 10,000 feet. And then there's a CFI. So if we want to do a train the trainer for our foreign partners, that's what we'll do. We'll get them certified as a CFI, and we'll send them back to country to do their proficiencies and their sign-offs.
Pretty cool. So how many can you produce? Like technically production capability?
Right now we have 9 assembly bays, 2 people per bay. We can assemble 2 to 3 a month. So I can do 18 to 27 here. And relatively small amount of money, I can double that production or do a second shift. Yeah, so it's quite scalable. It's 373 parts. We have 60 suppliers, secondary, tertiary supply line. So if someone went out of business, that happened to us in COVID. We had people go out of business and didn't slow us up. We were able to deliver on time. And we can get 98% of the parts in about 3 to 5 business days. So if we have all the parts, it takes, say 10 days to assemble it. Then we have a pathway where we have an A&P sign off on our work and all our quality assurance records. Then we have an FA rep come in. We have a lot of eyeballs, and they come in and they look over the paperwork and the aircraft. Then we go do the test flight, and then we ship it out.
And how many have you delivered to the military? Or delivered total? And then
well, we've made close to 30. And the FA paperwork, some we resign the aircraft, we'll resign the N number and do the delivery. So not all of our aircraft show up on the FA side. Right. So some go to other countries, some go to our own US DoD. But now we have over 130 in the pipeline we have to make.
Was that based on your latest?
That's
OTA?
That's 4 countries. That's 4 countries, not including US DoD, which the demand signal's higher there. But we're the smallest order we have is 20. From one of our allied partners, and the largest is 50.
So has it been operational in an operational engagement as far as you know? Like, has it been?
Yeah, it has. So I've flown it. We do some nonprofit work with Craig Solomon Sawyer Child Rescue. So we'll take it down on the border and put it up in the air. Anything we can do, like anything child rescue. We'll do that. Some of the work, I know it went to it was an Arctic area where it was flown, but I don't know much about the mission.
Yeah, they're not briefing you, back briefing you.
Yeah, I didn't get a debrief.
So any big technological hurdles you have with this?
The biggest hurdle is really, it's been the chassis. I think a scalable production line, that's what we're doing now. The chassis is if we have chassis, and building them in scale, then production is simple. It's a math formula, and it's 2 people, 3 people, and it's a 27-step process for assembly. So it's pretty quick. As far as technology goes, I think the integration of new technologies on the platform, I don't think it's taken us longer than 45 days to certify a new tech or capability other than unmanned. That'll take us 9 months to complete. And we're 4.5 months into that.
You don't do anything with the FAA for that, or do you?
No, sir.
You're just going with DoD partners.
Yeah. So as long as we're not selling it, so we don't do, especially if it's ITAR related, we do not do the integration. All we do is we evaluate it, we install it, we, make sure we know where everything's supposed to run, where the battery is, and then here's where, our suggestion is how this integrates. But if someone wanted to integrate something that was sensitive, like we've done EOIR with laser designators, which was from Collins Aerospace, that starts getting into the ITAR land. So if someone wanted that system, we would hand it to the prime and then let them do the integration and do the delivery.
So you have a diverse experience, as mentioned, mergers, acquisitions, marketing, tech. Give me a real quick rundown on high level what you did, and then how have those skill sets transitioned over to helping you create a very cool company.
Oh, okay. So I started reading Warren Buffett, Benjamin Graham, Philip Fisher when I was 10. So I was kind of a weird kid like that. I always thought I'd be an analyst for an investment firm, like, Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter when they were around. That was where I had my first job offer out of college. I want to be an analyst, just analyze companies. And then, here's where I recommend you deploy capital. So I went and worked for, it was like an intermediary, but we would sell companies, and worked for the former president Caesar's Palace. So I got a lot of experience in selling, quantifying what the true earnings were of the company, discretionary expenses, what you could add back, what was its true cash flow, what was its true capital expenditures. And then I got recruited. So in doing that, I realized what I was missing was the heart and blood of a company, which is sales. I had no sales experience. And one of my best friends, he was number one, number two in the world as a headhunter. And he was approached about building a tech company called Reach Local. And he called me, said, man, we got to go do this. I was like, man, you're number one, number two in the world. Like, I'm happy. I'm wearing a 3-piece suit selling companies every day. And we're in our 20s. Are you sure? But the more I thought about it, I was like, that's something I really, if I could learn sales and distribution, that was something I thought that was the missing link in my experience. So to walk away from making, $100,000 a year in my early 20s and start at a startup level, like ground floor, $3,000 a month, it was a pill to swallow, but I did it. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. But we grew that into 3,000 employees in 6 years. Deloitte named us the number one fastest growing company in North America. I think Google was the only tech company to ever beat us in its first 5 years of growth. We grew at 146,000% a year compounded. It was insane. It was better than Boiler Room. We had 27-year-olds making $75,000 a month. In Shreveport, Louisiana, it was awesome. it was.
That'll go a long ways in Shreveport.
It will go a long ways in Shreveport. So the exit was nice. I mean, it provided a nice liquidity event, and that's when I got into kind of more private, just buying existing companies, cash flow companies. This SkyRunner, started off as the project for my family, and then when I saw it get legs, I knew this could be another $100 million. Dollar company. So then, I redeployed, and then I bet big on that. But the difference was defense. Like, the defense space is not like corporate America, as you know. Mm-hmm. It's, Adam Smith's invisible hand, whoever makes the cheapest product at the best product, the cheapest cost, like, wins. No. So having a great team, people that, like, great leaders, retired generals that understand the landscape, that have those relationships that can open doors where people actually listen to you, just because that valley of death with patriots trying to do something special for the country, it's disheartening. I had no idea the failure rate. So it's a completely different animal than corporate America.
Oh, yeah. And so that's been your key to navigate that, is using
two things. I think having, a badass team and like these generals that can lead you. And I think partnering, finding great partners, like a Collins or a Raytheon or any like Blue Halo, or people that you can integrate their systems, AeroVironment. Your win becomes their win, became sort of another, like, hey, I'm not a threat. My win can be your win. I'd like to integrate your system on here. So that was another kind of safety net of making sure people didn't see us as a threat, because some really did early when they found out we had defense contracts.
I'd love to know who, but probably irrelevant. Yeah. When you have, so did you just reach out to AeroVironment, for example, for the Switchblade, or did you?
No, that came through a face. I mean, eventually I always do, just to build a relationship, but that came through a direct to phase 2. A group working South America wanted to integrate 2 weapon systems on an aircraft. And we were just a low cost aircraft. And whether we got it, I called them and said, look, I love your product. I'd like to, I don't know if we're going to win this deal, and we did not win it, but I knew that is the system I want on my aircraft.
Yeah, that's a cool system. Wow.
Yeah.
Mine's nicely with yours.
Yeah. And we can put a lot of them on it.
Are you still in the commercial space then? Are you still creating and building up that?
Yeah, we still sell. We just delivered one to another child rescue group. So, being able to get in the air and have air support and visibility is just such an advantage, Aviation and whether it's, especially in a complex environment, is one of the best assets you can have.
Do you still fly private airplanes, fixed wings, or is this your only gig?
I don't fly as much as I used to.
Well, that's the story of a startup. You don't have time.
Yeah, because this became, it's weird. I think, you remember when you learn how to ride a bike the first time, and that freedom and liberation you had, like, you could go 10 blocks. Like, I can go 10 blocks that way. And I remember the same thing happened when I got a car, and I was like, I could drive to New Orleans with whoever I wanted to. If I wanted to go to New Orleans right now, I could go do that. The first time I took off from a pasture and went over a river in SkyRunner. Oh, I mean, it's the ultimate metaphor for freedom, right? So yeah, this became the most fun toy I've ever had. So I never got the experience, the pearly words of different aviators like Lindbergh, and like, I didn't quite understand. There was just so much to do in the cockpit, and I'm learning, and someone's talking like they had 5 cups of coffee in my ear, at the tower, and I'm trying to figure out what they're saying. It's kind of stressful, and there's always buttons, and so this is about the simplest it gets. You're not having to focus on mixture control. It's turbo. It makes its own atmosphere. You just kind of get up in the air and go where you want to go and land, and you can cut the engine. You don't need the engine. It's got Fox shocks, which make fantastic landing gear. You can screw your landing up. Like, who knew? Fox shocks make great landing gear, but they do. And it was way more fun to fly low and slow around the terrain. It was a different experience than a fixed wing. So I never really went back to fixed wing.
Yeah, interesting. Where do you see then SkyRunner going? So you got 5 years. You're doing some unmanned stuff. Like, what are the potentials? And do you see any potential, offshoots that are really cool that we may not be seeing right behind you?
With the demand signals we have now, I see us getting acquired or merging with somebody. I see it happening probably in the next year and a half. And it's, one, out of self-preservation. I think that's going to be important. But 2, it's worth more to some of the big guys because of all the cool guy tech they make. So if you want to integrate, like, you could put 10 different technologies on this thing.
Well, at least.
And so they can do things faster, slower at first, but I mean, they could scale and make a bigger difference to the warfighter than I can at this point. So I think, this became a very patriotic play, and I want to make a difference. I mean, I'd like to make a bigger difference than the Hueys did to Vietnam. I mean, we're at a price point. You could put a lot in theater, and you could, the range of mission sets you can do with this without putting anybody in harm's way or bringing people home. The royalty of our country, guys like you, that's what we're all about. But I want to do that in a meaningful way.
And that's awesome. So acquisition, what is then, a guy like you doesn't sit still. What are some of your other ideas?
That's a good question.
Do this with
because after the IPO, you do something, you can't take a sabbatical for 2 months and then you're bored. I mean, there's only so much hunting and fishing a guy can do. So I think guys, we always need a challenge. We need a problem to solve. Maybe real estate. I don't know. I've thought a lot about, going down a different path. And I think this is going to be my last startup. I might do, AI is an interesting animal. The more I play with it, it freaks me out. But there's going to be a lot to do with that. And with AI, I like the efficiency, especially getting down to being more proactive than reactive. Using it in a way where it's a better customer experience. Yeah, probably real estate and AI is where I'm going to go next, or education. If I can make a difference in education, boy, do we need it. So,
well, this has been super awesome. We're going to have to wrap this up, but if folks want to follow SkyRunner, they want to buy a SkyRunner,
right?
How best do they do that?
So to buy a SkyRunner, you can do it right through our website. So we have a place to put a deposit. It's very simple. It's low friction. Way to do it, because we do it by order. So when you put a deposit down, you're in order for the next delivery, and then we give you a chance to take it down. If you pass, then we'll move to someone else. But it puts you in a place in line. And the tricky thing is with the defense, where the orders get into pretty large. So 20 and 30 at a time. So yeah, putting an order down, putting a deposit down, that's how you secure your place.
How long will that take me if I put one down?
Oh, from deposit to delivery?
Yeah, with the current.
It will depend. So right now we're overcompensating for the chassis supply. Right now I could deliver one in less than 3 months, 4 months.
Oh, that's good.
But when the next 20 or 30 fall, it's going to be longer until I get the chassis production up. So it could be 6 months, 8 months. In the meantime, I can get a pilot certified. I can get them, they can become a pilot in the meantime.
So. And maybe coming down there and taking it for a zip sometime.
Well, come on. Just haul cutting.
See, there's so many cool things you can do.
That's so many cool things, right?
Have you gone hog hunting in it?
Well, no, we've shot from it, but we haven't hog hunt. We've tried to take it over and do that in Texas, and it never worked out on the timing, but we will do it. But we've shot targets from it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again so much. This has been fun. I look forward to continuing to watch your success, and let's stay in touch.
Thanks, David. Thank you for your service too. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.